Dear students, welcome to readmedprep Academy channel. Today in Environmental Issues Part 3, we are going to talk about the agrochemicals, biomagnification, eutrophication, integrated wastewater management, organic farming and its implementation. What are agrochemicals? Chemicals which are used in agriculture for growth of plants and pest control are called agrochemicals or agrichemicals. Overuse of agrochemicals have been observed to generate residues that cause nutrient imbalance. In addition, may kill beneficial bacteria and soil organisms, can cause eutrophication in water bodies, affect aquatic animals and their productivity. Pesticide containing water, even in trace quantities, is unfit for human consumption. Particles like aerosols and residues of these chemicals cause air pollution. Inhalation of contaminated air can cause respiratory problems. Consumption can lead to poisoning, side effects and after effects. Chemicals can cause skin rashes and irritation of the eyes. Many of these chemicals are reported to be carcinogenic. They can trigger hormonal disorders and neurotoxicity. Beneficial insects and animals can be affected. Here you can see the disadvantages of agrochemicals: environmental pollution, decreased soil quality and nutrient imbalance, contamination of groundwater, toxic to soil microorganisms, alter food quality, residues affect on the human health. What are the advantages? Higher crop yield, increased soil fertility, food grain production, vector-borne diseases control, insect pest management, reduced losses from weeds, disease and insect pests. What are the alternatives that can be done to prevent the effects of agrochemicals? Use of biofertilizers and biopesticides, use of beneficial microbes, use of organic pesticides. Mosquito repellents, DEET, otherwise called NN diethyl netatolamide, and alethrine used in mosquito coils may cause itching, burning, tingling sensation or numbness. What are the effects of mosquito repellents or DEET on insects? Antefidant, locomotor activity alterations, neuroexcitation, cholinergic system alterations can occur. Cytochrome P450 monooxygenase activity regulation. What are the adverse effects in mammals? It's an antefidant. Sensory, motor and locomotor alterations, seizures, ataxia and neurological degeneration can occur. Bradycardia and hypotension is also caused. Angiogenesis can occur. Dermal reaction can occur because of basophil activation. Colony collapse syndrome. In honeybees, due to pesticides, herbicides can lead to destruction of hives and lower agricultural productivity. Remember, bees are nature's best pollinators. In the image, you can see the colony collapse of the honeybees. Colony collapse disorder can be caused because of migratory beekeeping, pesticides or herbicides, malnutrition, electromagnetic radiation, pharmaceutical products in the hives, genetically modified crops, global warming, mites, pathogens or viruses can also cause colony collapse disorder. Now let us move on to biomagnification. Food chains are components of all ecosystems. Producers and consumers form trophic levels in a chain through which energy flow is carried out by the process of eating and being eaten. Usage, storage and transformation of food and biomolecules by metabolism are a normal process. Degradation or breakdown is an essential part of any food chain, and hence all naturally occurring substances are degradable. Here in this image you can see the trophic levels and energy transfer. Normally, decomposers live off detritus by decomposing the waste and dead matter from the other trophic levels. These decomposers are also called detritivores. The first stage, the primary producers in the pyramid, for example, they are autotrophs. They can produce 10,000 kilocalories per meter square per year. The second group, the herbivores or the heterotrophs, which are the primary consumers, they produce about 1000 kilocalories per meter square per year. The secondary consumers, which produces 100 kilocalories per meter square per year, they are also heterotrophs. The tertiary consumers, which are also the heterotrophs, which produce about 10 kilocalories per meter square per year. So the trophic levels are split by a who eats who system. Only about 10% of a level absorbed energy is absorbed by the next one. The vast majority of energy is lost as heat to the environment. Said heat is produced by cellular respiration, a necessary function of life of all organisms. Biomagnification of DDT. When non-degradable substances enter the food chain, they do not get metabolized or broken down or expelled, and instead they get transferred up the trophic levels of the food chain. During this process, they show an increase in concentration which is transferred to as biomagnification. This results in increased toxicity and may even be lethal. This phenomenon is well established for mercury and DDT. The figure on the right schematically shows biomagnification of DDT in an aquatic food chain, where the concentration of DDT is enhanced at successive trophic levels. Let us study the image now. The biomagnification in the water, there are producers. These producers are called phytoplankton, which produce about 1000 concentration of DDT. As we move to the zooplankton, the concentration increases to around 10,000. As we move above to the small fish, it increases to about 1 lakh. And when we move above the pyramid, it becomes 10 lakhs for large fishes. And the fish eating birds which carry off the fish, they have around 100 lakhs of the DDT concentration. This is how the DDT concentration goes up, increasing in the pyramid scale at each trophic level. Now let us move on to eutrophication. When runoff from land containing nutrients reaches water bodies like lakes, it results in dense growth of plant life. This phenomenon is called eutrophication. Natural aging of lakes also leads to nutrient enrichment of its water. In a lake, the water is cold and clear. This stage is called oligotrophic stage, supporting little life. With time, streams draining into the lake introduce nutrients such as nitrates and phosphates, which encourage the growth of aquatic organisms. Aquatic plants and animal life grow rapidly, and organic remains begin to be deposited on the lake bottom. This stage is called mesotrophic stage. Pollutants from anthropogenic activities like effluents from the industries and homes can radically accelerate the aging process. This phenomenon is known as cultural or accelerated eutrophication. Nutrients stimulate the growth of algae, water hyacinth, and can cause clogging of the canals, rivers, and lakes, as well as displacing native plants. It causes unsightly foam and unpleasant odors and deprives the water of dissolved oxygen for other animals. Here you can see the stages of eutrophication. The first stage is called the oligotrophic stage, where deep and nutrient poor system is present. In the middle you can see the mesotrophic stage, where nutrient enrichment occurs because of the human pollution, where there is flow of nitrates and phosphates. In the third stage you can see the eutrophic stage, where the nutrient saturated shallow algae and bacteria develop in excess, and still the human pollution is continued because of this, and there is less oxygen available for the other aquatic animals and plants. Now let us move on to integrated wastewater management. Wastewater or sewage originates from domestic wastewaters, industrial waste, and animal waste. Realizing the importance of clean potable water, the government passed the Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Act in 1974, which made it mandatory to treat wastewater in treatment plants. The main objective of a wastewater treatment process is to reduce the organic and inorganic components in the wastewater to a level that it no longer supports microbial growth and to eliminate other potentially toxic materials. Microorganisms, mainly bacteria and protozoa, play an essential part in the treatment of sewage to make it harmless. Sewage contains pathogenic bacteria. These bacteria must be destroyed in order to prevent the spread of diseases. Sewage treatment is usually performed in the following three stages: primary treatment, secondary treatment or biological treatment, and tertiary treatment. Primary treatment involves the physical removal of the solid and particulate organic and inorganic materials from the sewage through filtration and sedimentation. Floating debris is removed by sequential filtration. Then the grit, soil and small pebbles are removed by sedimentation. All solids that settle from the primary sludge and the supernatant forms the effluent. The effluent from the primary settling tank is taken to the secondary treatment. Here in this image you can see before the primary treatment there is a preliminary treatment where it is done to remove the debris and grit. The raw sewage is allowed to flow and pass through a bar screen, and the debris removal occurs, and this is passed on to the grit chamber. The velocity slows in the grit chamber and coarse grit particles settle down, and the grit removal is done and the fluid is passed on to the primary treatment chamber. Here you can see the primary treatment where the influent is allowed to pass through another screen and into a grit chamber. In the grit chamber, the grit accumulates below because of gravity, and next it is passed on to the sedimentation tank. The sludge is removed from the grit chamber and the sedimentation tank, and the effluent flows on to the secondary treatment plant. Secondary treatment is otherwise called the biological treatment. The primary effluent is passed into a large aeration tanks where it is constantly agitated mechanically and air is pumped into it. This allows vigorous growth of useful aerobic microbes into flock masses of bacteria associated with fungal filaments to form mesh-like structures. While growing, these microbes consume the major part of the organic matter in the effluent. This significantly reduces the BOD. BOD is called biological oxygen demand or biochemical oxygen demand. BOD refers to the amount of oxygen that would be consumed if all the organic matter in 1 liter of water were oxidized by bacteria. The sewage water is treated till the BOD is reduced. The greater the BOD of the wastewater, more it is its polluting potential. Once the BOD of the sewage water is reduced significantly, the effluent is then passed into a settling tank where the bacterial flocks are allowed to sediment. This sediment is called activated sludge. A small part of the activated sludge is pumped back into the aeration tank to serve as the inoculum. The remaining major part of the sludge is pumped into large tanks called anaerobic sludge digesters. Here the bacteria which grow anaerobically digest the bacteria and the fungi in the sludge. During this digestion, bacteria produce a mixture of gases such as methane, hydrogen sulfide and carbon dioxide. These gases form the biogas and can be used as a source of energy. Here in this image, you can see the secondary treatment plant where the primary clarifier is taken and the primary sludge is removed and sent to the sludge digester, and the primary effluent is allowed to flow into the aeration tank. And in the aeration tank, air and oxygen are pumped into through a compressor, and the sediments go down, the flock goes down into the aeration tank, and the effluent is passed on the secondary clarifier. In the secondary clarifier, the activated sludge is removed and passed on to the aeration tank once again as an inoculum, and some amount of sludge is also removed and sent to the sludge digester. The effluent that comes out from the secondary treatment plant is passed on to the tertiary treatment plant. Tertiary treatment, this is the final process that improves the quality of wastewater before it is reused, recycled or released into the natural water bodies. This treatment removes the remaining inorganic compounds and substances such as nitrogen and phosphorus. So how does the tertiary wastewater treatment work? First, the effluent is made to be filtered and the clear water that can be obtained is disinfected and can be discharged into the water bodies or can be reused for gardens and other places. UV is an ideal disinfectant for wastewater since it does not alter the water quality except for inactivating the microorganisms. UV is a chemical-free process that can completely replace the existing chlorination system and also inactivates chlorine-resistant microorganisms like Cryptosporidium and Giardia. You can see here the image of a UV clarifier where it has a filtered effluent passed on through various UV lamp banks, which causes 10,000 times reduction of viruses and bacteria. After the water is purified, the wastewater is passed on to the intertidal storage basin. Here, the entire sewage treatment process is summed up. Wastewater from the cities and the towns are passed on for pre-treatment, which causes the removal of the coarse solid sand and grit. After the preliminary treatment, it is passed on the primary treatment into the primary settling tank. Here the primary sludge is removed and sent to anaerobic sludge digester, which causes production of biogas and fertilizer production. The primary effluent that is obtained is passed on to the secondary treatment, where the aeration zone in the aeration tank, where the air and the liquid water is mixed and the floc is formed. Then the effluent is passed on to the secondary settling tank. Here the sludge is recirculated to the aeration tank and major sludge is removed and passed on to the digesters, where the production of biogas and other fertilizers are done. The effluent that is obtained from the secondary settling tank or secondary treatment is passed on to the tertiary treatment, where disinfection is done and the treated sewage is passed on to the water bodies or can be reused. Case study. Auroville, located in South India near Puducherry, has been experimenting with natural wastewater recycling systems. Decentralized wastewater treatment system, otherwise called DWATs. Such treatment plants have now also been implemented in Arvind Eye Hospital, Puducherry. Root zone wastewater treatment, otherwise shortly called RZWT. And the Chennai Mathematical Institute, Siriseri in IT Park, Chennai is also practicing this. Here you can see in the left side image where the DWAT system is practiced at Auroville. On the right side you can see RZWT system in Arvind Eye Hospital. Now organic farming and its implementation. What is organic farming? This is a method of farming system which primarily aims at cultivating the land and raising crops in such a way so as to keep the soil alive and in good health by use of organic waste, crop, animal and farm waste, aquatic waste, and other biological materials along with beneficial microbes which help in the formation of biofertilizers to release nutrients to crops for increased sustainable production in an eco-friendly, pollution-free environment. Here you can see the different aspects of organic farming, where green leaf manures are produced, crop rotation is done, biological management of the agricultural fields is done, animal husbandry is managed, biofertilizers are produced, manures and vermicompost are manufactured for organic farming. G. Nammalwar was a supporter and expert of organic farming. He was an agricultural scientist, environmental activist celebrated for his work on spreading ecological farming and organic farming. He was against the use of chemical fertilizers and pesticides. He trained hundreds of farmers in natural farming. Nammalwar was the author of several Tamil and English books on natural farming, pesticides and fertilizers, and was featured in magazines and television programs. He founded the Nammalwar Ecological Foundation for Farm Research and Global Food Security Trust, or simply Vanagam at Karur, Tamil Nadu. He developed social forest at Ammankurai and the Kolinji Ecological Forest in Pudukkottai. He and his friends made a 10-acre barren land into a fertile cultivable land in the dry Pudukkottai district. He planted 52 varieties of trees in the same wasteland extending in 20 acres. His organization Kudumbam preserves and regenerates hundreds of native flora and fauna in order to ensure a sustainable livelihood. Dr. Sultan Ahmad Ismail is an Indian soil biologist and ecologist from Tamil Nadu. His work was centered on techniques for recycling biodegradable waste into fertilizer using varieties of earthworms and on soil bioremediation. Dr. Ismail received a DSc in zoology from the University of Madras for his research on the role of earthworms in soil ecology and waste management. He works on vermicomposting as a sustainable ecological practice. You can see the image of vermicompost being produced by the earthworms. He has been instrumental in introducing as well as spreading awareness on environmental issues, solid waste management, vermicomposting, organic farming, vermitech and waste management to several educational institutions, industries and organic farmers in India and abroad. What are the steps in vermicomposting? Collection of waste and processing, including shredding and separation of non-degradable material. Preparation of earthworm bed. A concrete base is required to put the waste for vermicompost preparation. Loose soil will allow the worms to go into the soil, and also while watering, all the dissolvable nutrients go into the soil along with the water. Collection of earthworm after vermicompost collection. Sieving the compost material to separate fully composted material. The partially composted material will be again put into the vermicompost bed. Storing the vermicompost in proper place to maintain moisture and allow the beneficial microorganisms to grow. So today in environmental issues part 3, we discussed about the agrochemicals, biomagnification, eutrophication, integrated wastewater management, organic farming and its implementation. So thank you. Kindly subscribe, like, share and comment to channel Read MedPrep Academy. Kindly register for UG and PG NEET type MCQs in our website www.readmedprepacademy.com. Our Facebook ID is Read MedPrep Academy. Our email is readmedprepacademy@gmail.com. Our Instagram is Read MedPrep Academy. To join Read MedPrep Academy, WhatsApp the number given below. Kindly post your questions in the comment box. We will reply with appropriate answers. That's all for today. Thank you very much.